Did you know the person you thought was confident, charming, even kind is doing things in private that would make you shiver? You might never see it coming, and it will completely change the way you understand them. What happens when a narcissist is completely alone is darker, more strategic, and more revealing than anything they show in public. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what they do behind closed doors, and it's not what you expect. If you're finding this eye-opening so far, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because we're going to break down 6 specific behaviors that reveal the secret life of a narcissist. Knowing these can change your perspective forever. When a narcissist is completely alone, one of the most telling behaviors they engage in is obsessive self-admiration. Unlike normal self-reflection, which is balanced and often aimed at growth, this behavior is all about inflating their self-image and feeding their ego. In private, they often study themselves, sometimes literally in a mirror, sometimes mentally, crafting a flawless version of who they believe they are. They replay past interactions, exaggerating successes, minimizing failures, and imagining praise that may never have existed. This is not harmless daydreaming. It is a carefully constructed exercise in self-validation, a way to convince themselves that they are superior, special, and always right. This practice also helps them maintain the illusion of control. When they feel insecure or powerless in public, these private rituals provide a psychological safety net, reminding them that, at least in their own mind, they remain untouchable. It can be subtle, a mental replay of compliments they received, a private smile at their reflection, or even a journal where they record imagined victories. Over time, this constant self-focus strengthens their sense of entitlement and reinforces patterns of grandiosity, making it easier to dismiss criticism or empathy for others. What makes this behavior particularly disturbing is that it is rarely visible to anyone else. Friends, colleagues, or partners might see confidence or charm, but they don't see the meticulous, almost ritualistic self-admiration that happens in isolation. This private reinforcement cycle explains why narcissists can appear so invulnerable, even when their public persona is challenged or rejected. It is a hidden engine fueling their ego, power, and often their manipulative behavior toward others. When a narcissist is alone, one of the most insidious behaviors they engage in is rewriting memories. This isn't just forgetting details or having a slightly biased recollection. It's a deliberate mental editing of past events to always cast themselves in the best possible light. They replay interactions with friends, partners, or colleagues, shifting blame, exaggerating their successes, and minimizing or erasing their mistakes. In their mind, they become the victim when wronged, the hero when praised, and the genius when challenged. This mental rewriting isn't just occasional. It can become a daily ritual, a way to maintain their self-esteem and protect the fragile ego that lurks beneath their confident exterior. This behavior also serves a strategic purpose. By rehearsing these altered memories in private, narcissists prepare themselves to manipulate others in the future. They know exactly how to frame stories, how to twist events, and how to present themselves as flawless or wronged depending on the situation. It's a form of psychological armor. By controlling the narrative internally, they can defend against criticism externally. Over time, this constant revisionism blurs their own sense of reality. They may come to truly believe their altered memories, which explains how they can deny obvious facts or insist that events unfolded exactly as they envision. What makes this particularly disturbing is the invisibility of it. No one sees the private rehearsals, the constant reshaping of events, or the meticulous attention to crafting the perfect self-image. While they may appear charming, confident, or even remorseful in public, in solitude, they are mastering the art of narrative control, ensuring that every memory ultimately reinforces their superiority and entitlement. When a narcissist is alone, one of the most revealing behaviors is the indulgence in secret fantasies of power. These are not casual daydreams. They are vivid, detailed scenarios in which they control, dominate, or manipulate others with absolute authority, often without any consequences. In these private moments, they imagine themselves winning arguments, humiliating rivals, or effortlessly bending situations to their favor. These fantasies serve a dual purpose. They gratify the ego and provide a psychological rehearsal for real-world manipulation. Even if they never act on these thoughts, the mere mental exercise strengthens their sense of superiority and entitlement. The intensity of these fantasies often reflects the narcissist's deepest desires and insecurities. They may imagine scenarios where they are admired, feared, or envied, and these imagined victories are experienced with as much emotional satisfaction as if they were real. This private indulgence creates a feedback loop. The more they rehearse control and dominance in their mind, the more confident they feel in their public interactions, which can make them appear charming, persuasive, or unshakable. What is particularly disturbing is the detachment from empathy or consequence in these fantasies. The narcissist is free to exploit, humiliate, or manipulate without guilt, shame, or moral restraint. It's a mental playground where only their desires matter, and other people exist merely as props to reinforce their sense of power. Understanding these secret fantasies helps explain why narcissists can act so ruthlessly in real life. Their minds have already rehearsed every scenario, making actual manipulation feel like a natural extension of their private thoughts. When a narcissist is alone, one of the more unsettling behaviors they engage in is the deliberate suppression of emotions. This isn't just trying to calm down or breathe through stress. It's a calculated experiment to see how far they can shut off feelings like guilt, shame, or empathy. In solitude, they test their ability to feel nothing, observing themselves as though they are a separate entity entirely. By doing this, they gain a sense of mastery over their internal world, reinforcing the belief that they are untouchable and superior. These emotional suppression experiments serve multiple purposes. First, they allow the narcissist to maintain their inflated self-image even after behaviors that would normally trigger remorse. A minor betrayal, a harsh criticism, or a hurtful comment from someone close, none of these need to pierce their self-esteem if they can mentally mute the emotional response. Second, it acts as preparation for real-life interactions. By practicing detachment in private, they can project confidence and control in public, even in situations that would naturally evoke vulnerability or empathy. What makes this particularly chilling is the intentionality. They are not passively numb. They are actively conditioning themselves to disregard moral and emotional boundaries. Over time, this can make their reactions in public seem cold, calculated, or even cruel, because the part of their mind that would normally experience guilt or compassion has been deliberately silenced. Alone, they are honing this skill, pushing the limits of emotional detachment, and preparing themselves to act in ways that most people would find morally or socially intolerable. When a narcissist is alone, one of the most strategic and disturbing behaviors they engage in is planning covert manipulations. Unlike casual thinking about daily tasks or future goals, this involves carefully plotting how to influence, deceive, or control others without anyone noticing. In private, they replay conversations, anticipate reactions, and map out scenarios where they can get what they want, whether it's admiration, compliance, or revenge. Every detail is considered: timing, wording, and the emotional state of the person they aim to manipulate. This is a mental rehearsal that turns into a precise blueprint for real-world manipulation. These covert planning sessions are not always about immediate gain. Sometimes they are long-term strategies where the narcissist envisions how relationships or situations can be shaped over weeks, months, or even years. They might mentally experiment with different approaches, discard those that seem weak, and refine the tactics that maximize control. This constant rehearsal strengthens their sense of cunning and superiority, making them feel prepared for any social encounter or challenge. What makes this behavior particularly chilling is how invisible it is to others. To friends, colleagues, or partners, the narcissist may appear charming, confident, or even innocent. Behind closed doors, however, they are carefully orchestrating actions designed to serve their self-interest. By the time the manipulation is executed, it feels seamless and natural, often leaving others confused, frustrated, or doubting their own perception. Understanding this hidden behavior helps explain why narcissists can be so effective at control. They have already rehearsed the scenario in their mind, giving them a strategic advantage before the first word is even spoken. When a narcissist is alone, one of the more insidious behaviors they engage in is silent comparison and envy. Unlike ordinary self-reflection, this behavior involves obsessively measuring themselves against others, often in ways that fuel both jealousy and superiority fantasies. They analyze what others have, success, admiration, relationship status, and contrast it with their own achievements, constantly calculating where they excel and where they feel slighted. In private, these comparisons become mental competitions, where they imagine themselves outperforming rivals or fantasize about the failures of those they envy. This behavior serves multiple psychological purposes. First, it reinforces their fragile self-esteem. By imagining themselves as superior or deserving, they soothe the insecurities that would otherwise challenge their self-image. Second, it provides material for private strategizing. They may think about how to surpass, humiliate, or outmaneuver someone in real life, using these private assessments to guide future interactions. Unlike outward aggression, this is invisible to others. It is internalized and meticulously controlled, which makes it even more potent. What makes this behavior particularly disturbing is the intensity and focus it demands. Even people who appear confident or self-assured in public may be seething with envy in private, meticulously tracking perceived slights and advantages. This constant comparison fuels not only their desire for admiration, but also subtle resentment toward anyone they see as a threat. Understanding this hidden dynamic sheds light on why narcissists often appear competitive, strategic, or even vindictive. They are continuously rehearsing superiority and envy behind closed doors, strengthening the mental patterns that drive their public behavior. When a narcissist is alone, another behavior that quietly shapes their inner world is private self-punishment and shame. Unlike outward expressions of guilt or apology, this occurs entirely in solitude, hidden from the eyes of others. They may replay past mistakes, perceived slights, or interactions where they didn't come out on top, obsessing over every detail with a critical lens. This internal punishment is not aimed at growth or genuine reflection. It is a way to regulate emotions, reinforce control over themselves, and sometimes even to savor a sense of drama or martyrdom. This private shame can be strangely ritualistic. They may dwell on imagined failures or moments when they felt humiliated, exaggerating the sting in their minds. It reinforces a duality. Publicly, they remain confident, charming, and untouchable. But in private, they experience intense self-focused scrutiny. This behavior also strengthens their future interactions because they learn from these internal rehearsals. They anticipate vulnerabilities in themselves or others, crafting a version of themselves that can prevent future embarrassment or social defeat. What makes this behavior particularly disturbing is its secrecy and intensity. Unlike normal guilt, which motivates reconciliation or corrective action, this private self-punishment can be purely obsessive and self-serving. It feeds the narcissist's complex mental world, enhancing patterns of control, manipulation, or superiority in public while indulging in private suffering that no one else can witness. Understanding this hidden dynamic helps explain why narcissists can appear invulnerable externally, yet be deeply preoccupied internally, constantly cycling between self-aggrandizement and self-inflicted mental torment. When a narcissist is alone, one of the most private and revealing behaviors is the collection of secret admiration. This can take many forms: saved messages, photos, social media interactions, mementos, or even imagined praise that they replay in their mind. Unlike ordinary memories or keepsakes, these are carefully curated to reinforce their sense of superiority and self-worth. Each item is a reminder that they are admired, desired, or respected, even if that admiration is fleeting, exaggerated, or entirely imagined. This behavior serves a psychological purpose beyond simple nostalgia. By holding on to these symbols of admiration, the narcissist creates a private feedback loop that continually boosts their ego. When public circumstances challenge their self-image, criticism, rejection, or failure, they have a hidden arsenal of reinforcement to remind themselves that they are special and deserving. It is a controlled, self-directed way to maintain confidence and emotional stability without relying on the unpredictable validation of others. What makes this particularly disturbing is the obsessive and secretive nature of it. No one else sees the mental or physical shrine they create. While the world witnesses charm, confidence, or ambition, the narcissist privately hoards reminders that validate their self-importance. This collection feeds into patterns of entitlement and manipulation, strengthening their belief that admiration is their due and that others exist primarily to reinforce their value. Understanding this hidden practice illuminates why narcissists often seem resilient and untouchable. They have already stocked their mind and environment with reminders of their imagined greatness, ensuring their ego remains intact even when no one else is around to feed it. When we look at the hidden world of a narcissist, what becomes clear is that their public persona is only the tip of a very complex, often disturbing iceberg. Behind closed doors, they are constantly engaging in behaviors designed to protect, enhance, and feed their ego, whether it's obsessive self-admiration, rewriting memories, or rehearsing fantasies of power. They are silently measuring themselves against others, hoarding secret admiration, suppressing emotion, punishing themselves internally, and planning manipulations with surgical precision. Each of these behaviors serves a purpose: to maintain control, preserve their self-image, and reinforce the belief that they are entitled, superior, and untouchable. Understanding these hidden actions is crucial because it reveals the patterns that drive their public behavior. What looks like confidence or charm is often the outward expression of a carefully maintained internal world that constantly recalibrates itself. The narcissist's mind is always active, rehearsing victories, rewriting failures, and strategizing dominance. They are rarely passive, and even when alone, they are engaged in work that strengthens their influence over others, their sense of entitlement, and their psychological armor. By recognizing these private behaviors, we gain insight into why narcissists can be so resilient to criticism, so strategic in relationships, and so difficult to challenge. Their internal life fuels their external actions, making them appear invulnerable, while the truth is that this invulnerability is meticulously constructed behind closed doors. Seeing this hidden side allows us to step back, understand their motives, and protect ourselves, because the more we know about what happens in private, the less power they have over our perception of reality.